Steve McLaughlin, race one, very much a game of strategy, fell into your favour. Hopefully the same today.
Yeah, it was a great race. Obviously, we had a mixed weather condition, starting on obviously the wet tyres, and then we came in the CPS still on the wets and went over to the slicks and got a bit of clear track and went ahead. So it was good.
Must be a nice feeling to know you've got some pro drivers out there really putting in the laps, and to outlast them all must be a wonderful thing.
Yeah, well, I obviously had about a 12-second lead there at one stage, and then the final safety car came out, so that bunched it up and gave us a bit of a job to do, but it was good. We had the pace, the tyres were still good, so I think at the end we still had plenty of tyre left, and that's what allowed us to keep the lap times.
But sitting on pole with them all around you, what will be going through your mind?
Oh, no, we have to do, just have to get out there and stay up front. I mean, we may get past, but obviously we've got a little bit more penalty today with the CPS because we won, so an extra 20 seconds. But it'll still fall in our favour, perhaps in the second half of the race.
And we're set now for the final race of the Australian GTs, thanks to Cams, running on a Pirelli tyre. And this is how they'll line up with yesterday's race winner McLaughlin, Steve McLaughlin that is, alongside Nathan Morecambe. So that is Audi versus McLaren on the front row. Marcus Marshall is starting the Cadurus car alongside Clark Quinn. And then watch out for Bononomi, he's a real freak of an Italian star. That guy will be hopping into the car halfway through the race. Big names throughout the back. We've got McLarens, Porsches, Lamborghinis, BMWs, Aston Martins, the works. And I've got Carl Reindler in the commentary box ready for this one as they roll around for their rolling start.
Love the format, rolling start. It always provides a lot of action. Plenty of action yesterday in that race. A bit of rain, not so much rain today. In fact, it's not going to rain at all today, but different lineup from all the drivers there.
Which means we're in for an exciting race either way. It's an hour on the clock. Compulsory pit stops will play a part as well. As we get the green flag, we're running. Oh, good start. Clark Quinn got a bolter ahead of Marcus Marshall and covers off the inside line. Morecambe in the McLaren goes around the top. I think I heard a couple of cars clanging into each other. It might have been the two leaders, and Clark Quinn's got a really good start from fourth. He's into second, past the Techno McLaren. Hopefully we can get through here because there are concrete walls on the outside of the track that are ready to bite these cars when mistakes are made. There's Matt Kingsley in the white Techno McLaren working his way through. We go on board one of the McLarens right now. It's Elliot Barber at the wheel. He's got a really good run on Scott Taylor. And a challenge for the lead already. Wow, Frantic first lap. Frantic first lap. Obviously, Elliot Barber there had a bit of a rough run yesterday. The strategy didn't quite work out for those guys. They ended up a lap down as a result of pitting during that safety car period, but no doubt they'll be on a mission to make up for lost time yesterday. Speaking of on a mission, check out the yellow and black Lambo. That's Dean Canto at the wheel. As we go McLaren 1-2, Marcus Marshall to the inside for third. Oh no, not there, not like
that
this.
That is a big hit, that's going to hurt.
No, Jeff Emery head on and into the fence in the Audi.
That is definitely going to be a safety car.
Oh my goodness. That was a nasty hit. He's okay.
He's okay, he's moving in that car. He'll be gutted with that. They were so quick yesterday, both drivers. Obviously, Bononomi and Emery himself driving incredibly well. He's in a pretty vulnerable position there, so they'll have to recover that car.
Now, Canto wants to get this pass made before the safety car. Oh, it'll be tight. Safety car officially deployed now in our timing screens. Did Canto get that move done on Emery's teammate?
It looked like it. From a driver's point of view, you can only go by the flags that are out there, and there were no flags that I could see being displayed down the hill, so I think you'll find Dino will be okay.
Ooh, that was a bit of a moment in the background there.
To the grass there,
yeah.
Quinny. Dino's on a mission today. he was on fire yesterday. He was blazing through the field, him and Marcus Marshall. He's starting the race this time, handing it over to Taplin later on. So we see the replay. I wonder if there's any contact.
So he was fighting on the outside of Roger Largo, due to hand this car over to Marco Bononomi later in the race. Oh, yeah, Largo got the curb on the inside, and then...
That was unusual.
Oh, my goodness.
There were two separate incidents that happened then. The second contact was on the curb. That curb, like you said yesterday, it's almost knee-high. It's a massive curb. And the photographer there, Daniel Calise, an amazing photographer, didn't even budge. So what a professional.
That's the problem when you're looking through the lens.
He probably didn't even see it. From this angle, you can see there's a little bit of contact here, but it's really the curb that's unloaded him. So wow. I would call that a racing incident. It's really unfortunate for Jeff, driving so well at the moment. Off the back of a win last week as well in the
Yeah, in the Carrera
Pro-Am.
Cup. Do you remember Mal Rose back in the day?
Yes.
I remember Mal Rose knocking himself unconscious on that wall in a Formula Ford crash once upon a time. Well and truly over a decade ago. In his fluoro yellow Formula Ford that he used to get around the country in. It's a nasty wall. It can jump out of you at such a weird angle. It used to be tractor tyres there, but they've done a good job to put that tyre wall there, which thankfully has helped in this situation. That's the kind of accident where you're happy to have a Hans device on those head-on impacts. Well, good chance now behind the Lexus safety car to just explain the rules of the game here in the Australian GT Championship. We're going to start by just looking at the driver rating system, because it does get a little bit complicated at times. There are 6 levels of pro and amateur rankings. So a pro driver like Carl Reindler gets Pro 1 because he is a top dog like Stephen Richards.
That's very, very flattering, mate, but I don't think so.
Marco Bononomi. Amateur drivers and pro drivers share the car together, so you can't have a couple pros in there. And if you're a pro driver, you're not allowed to drive by yourself because you've got a fair old advantage. It also changes the rules for the pit stops. So like we mentioned, there are compulsory pit stops in the race. That window will open up around the 24-minute mark where we'll see drivers diving in for their compulsory pit stop. Now, it's a combination of where you start the race, further up the grid, and your driver ranking, which is the combined time for your pit stop. So if you're Carl Reindler on the front row of the grid, you've got 139 seconds. If you're me starting at the back, you've got 40 seconds. No driver can drive more than 55% of the race. So really, you can't really pit until the 27-minute mark. And I'm not surprised that Jeff's taking his time getting out of that car at the moment, because that was a nasty hit. But we did see him moving around inside that car. But head-on impact is never nice. So
No,
it's going to take his time.
There's more spectacular-looking accidents, but from a driver's point of view, the worst thing you can do is have a front-on impact with a wall that doesn't budge. I mean, you saw the photographer there, Daniel. He hardly moved. The wall didn't even move a millimetre. It's the big tyre bundles on the other side there, and that hurts. You know, he'll wake up pretty sore in the morning. And Troy there from Melbourne Performance Centre just...
I think they're going to get Jeff out through the roof. Looking at that.
Yeah, this could be a bit of a delay. So these cars, they're fitted with, obviously there's a hole in the roof for an extraction through the roof, which is a unique thing that's only been implemented in the last couple of years in the sport, but a fantastic initiative, because in an event like that, or maybe you're boxed in left to right.
So this is
really going to show.
That's from Tony Quinn's point of view.
There was such a small bit of contact that resulted in a monumental accident.
So there was one tap there,
which was
fine,
harmless racing. Yep. Even that was...
It just shows you how stiffly sprung these cars are. They are on the absolute limit, and they can just shoot off on right angles at times, and that's a great example of it.
Talking to the guys yesterday, any curbs around this circuit, it's not like a V8 supercar that's a little bit softer in spring. You just can't get away with hitting those curbs. At the top of the hill there, just a little rumble strip is enough to really unload the car, as we saw with Marcus Marshall and his huge spin that he had yesterday.
Marco Bononomi, you're over here obviously filling in for Chris Mees. Had some great laps yesterday. Obviously, your teammate has struck problems there. Obviously not what you want to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's really disappointing. I think it was a bit unlucky because the Lambo pushed him out in the last corner, so it was not ideal. But now I'm just waiting a little bit more information about him, because we heard from the radio he feels a little bit of back pain, a lower back. So I hope it will be fine. Now I go to check him and say something. But yeah, I mean, the most important thing is that he's okay. Of course, I wanted to be in the car later on in the second stint to try to win, because I think we have a great car. The team also yesterday did a great job. So yeah, I just wanted to drive and be fast on track.
You've raced all over the world, and I know yesterday mixed conditions with the weather, but what were your impressions at racing here and against our drivers?
Well, it's quite different from Europe at the moment, but it's really quite relaxed and chilling atmosphere, which I like it. And yeah, the level is quite good. Especially the teams are really well prepared, and I hope to be back soon.
We'd like to see you back in action again too. Thanks, Marco.
Thank you, bye.
Yeah, it's a real shame that he won't get a chance to take to the wheel, filling in for Christopher Mees, who's away at Brands Hatch this weekend. racing as part of their global operation. Great to have this car here this weekend. It's the brand new 911 GT3R. It's run by Walkinshaw Racing, and a very familiar name in Rob Starr is part of this program. We caught up with him earlier in the weekend.
Yeah, it's a very exciting time for Walkinshaw Racing to get into the Australian GT Series. It's obviously something different, and certainly to align ourselves with Porsche is fantastic. And obviously TWR have a history back a long time ago with Porsche, so it's a perfect brand for us to amalgamate ourselves with, and looking forward to the challenge here. John's obviously a very experienced driver. He's done Australian racing and European racing, so he's and driven a lot of GT cars. So for us, he's a perfect fit for it, and he'll bring a lot of experience and knowledge for us, which again we're going to be learning. So it's a good mix. Well, we've actually only had the car about a week and a half, so it's new to us. It's obviously a Porsche GT3R. I think it's the only one in Australia, so again that's pretty exciting. And yeah, we've had one test, and then they had a run at Rennsport, and each outing it's a good learning curve for us, and we think it's got potential. But this weekend it'll be great to actually see how we match with the big boys. This is a test, I suppose. Get one car up and running and see how we progress in it. And I'm sure down the track, if it's successful, we'd like to expand in it. It's a great series to be involved in, and it'd be great to have more cars involved in it.
Rob Starr has been part of the Walkinshaw family, the Holden Racing team, for a long time. That's the scene at the moment down there at the final corner. So race has been suspended because of this. We were getting very close to the pit stop window, and race control deciding to go to a red flag. So we heard Marco Bononomi, his teammate, say that he was awake and cooperating with the medical staff down there, but was complaining of back pain. And it's just a zero chance policy in this scenario. So our amazing medical team will just make sure that they're going to take Jeff out of the car the safest way possible. We saw the team were down there earlier unscrewing essentially the safety hatch from the roof, and they can extract the driver inside the seat of the car as Dean Canto gets out of the Lamborghini. Looks like he's inspecting some damage down there, so he might have had a bit of a rub on the racetrack at some point as well.
The safety side of things is something they do incredibly well, and like you said, they do take it very seriously. When a driver does complain about anything to do with the back or the neck, they take every precaution. So it might look pretty serious down there, but apparently he's doing okay. He's got a sore lower back, and they're going to do everything they can to get him out of that car in one piece, as we see Dr. Carl, the V8 supercar doctor, wandering over to oversee things, but the situation being managed very well by the team here.
Yeah, cool. So red flag conditions at the moment. There is Dr. Carl Lee, our medical delegate hanging over in that direction.
And Walkinshaw, really exciting to be expanding for you guys, Walkinshaw Racing, into the Australian GT Championship. The cars look phenomenal.
Yeah, no, we're really happy with it. Porsche have done a great job with the product, and so far it's going quite well on track. So yeah, pretty confident that we'll have a good season.
What was the idea behind wanting to get into this the GT Championship?
Oh, look, it's an exciting category around the world. I think it's one of the fastest growing forms of motorsport you can do. My little brother races GT3 for Nismo over in Europe as well, so we've had a bit of exposure through that, and it makes good business sense, but it's just good for the boys as well to be racing in a different category.
I know the focus, obviously, for James and Garth is purely on Supercars Championship, but have the boys wanted to get a spin in these cars?
Oh, I'm sure they want to, but no, their focus is these red things, so I don't think it'll happen anytime soon.
Thanks, Ryan.
No worries, thank you.
Ryan Walkinshaw there, and hopefully that Porsche is going to continue to get faster and faster ahead of the Australian Endurance Championship. So just a reminder here, we are currently under red flag conditions. And the concern was with Jeff Emery, who is complaining of lower back soreness. It sounds like he has been removed from the car from down there in turn 7, which is good news. We'll hopefully get this race back again. Just to remind everyone, he is conscious, he's responding, he's talking to the medical team, but complaining of some lower back soreness. So they're taking zero chances down there and making sure that he is kept stable when they're taking him out of that car. Not far from getting back to racing action here in the CAMS Australian GT Championship. There'll be about 20 minutes left in this race once we get going. But Carl, you're a race car driver. You've been here before. You've just seen a bloke go into the fence and get carted off in an ambulance. As we check out Michael Massey on the scene, we were just talking about him earlier, actually, as taking the reins of the V8 Supercars race control here this weekend. How do you mentally do it? How do you prepare? How do you throw the helmet back on and focus on the job at task?
it's tough. You jump out of the car after a red flag situation like that. You never want to see one of your compatriots out there having a big accident like that. To see him carted off in an ambulance, it does affect you. Some guys might not admit to it, but it does affect you when you're out there. And you've then got to put your helmet back on and almost forget about what just happened. You've almost got to be a little bit ruthless about it and get on with the job at hand. But I've been in that situation so many different times, and it's not easy. It is a dangerous sport, and sometimes you forget about it. You feel like you're invincible out there. You know, sometimes you're on the receiving end. I've had a very big accident here myself, and it's a bit of a reality check for a driver when you do see one of your fellow drivers out there carted away in an ambulance. So these guys jumping in the car, they're going to get pretty much an outlap and then straight back into this race. No warm-up or anything. Obviously tyres now. The tyres have cooled right down. They're going to have to generate tyre temperature, but we're on. You've got, this has worked in the favour for some guys. You've got some pro drivers back in the seat. You're going to see Craig Baird moving through the field. Nathan Antunes. We've got John Martin in the seat. Nathan Morecambe, who's going to be very quick. Ryle Harris as well back there. Barton Moore. This is going to be an interesting race, trying to bridge that gap with the stop times.
The stop times are so different as well. We're talking about, say, McLaughlin, for example, a minute 16 for him. Morecambe, a minute 44. I mean, the difference between these two on camera, 5 seconds. So it's going to be a frantic race. We'll worry about the pit stop times when we get a little bit closer to the checkered flag. We need these guys to bunch up a little bit closer here for the restart, because the Lexus safety car is back in. It's going to be Clark Quinn, Nathan Morecambe, James Kandouris to bring us back to the flag from Andrew Taplin. And then Steve McLaughlin, who started this race on pole position. Checkered flag, green flag in the air. We're off and running again after a brief delay, which is good news. We want to see these cars circulating. And straight through goes John Martin and Craig Baird, like you mentioned, not wasting any time at all. He goes to the inside of Roger Largo. And Clark Quinn has to be favourite to cross the finish line first, but will he open up a big enough lead to win the race? That's the question.
It's really hurt Dean Canto. I knew he was so excited to have the green tyres put on in that race. Unfortunately, didn't get the run that he was hoping for, so it has hurt a lot of people out there. But still going to be interesting to see these guys coming through the field.
Hopefully we get a lot of green laps in here, because the safety car, if this race gets bunched up at the end, with some laps, you know, pit stop times being a minute's different, it could really hurt a lot of drivers at the end of this race, as Martin's on the defensive from Baird. Baird with the over-under. Wow, supreme grip at the exit and cruises by. A couple of German cars going at it down towards the first corner. And the newer Mercedes cruises on through there. Oh, that was aggressive stuff from Antunes. They're not mucking around here. They know that time is of the essence. Baird will have Taplin next. Then Kandouris, the championship leader, to worry about. Board with the young Sydney sider, former Red Bull junior racer, through that very long turn 4 and over the top at 5. Was in with a shot at last year's championship in an Audi, but he's made the move over to Techno Autosport. Oh, Baird relying on the ABS at turn 6.
It's funny, in a parity category like this, talking to Nathan yesterday, saying how different these cars are to drive. They've all got their own character, their own personality, and they behave very differently. They've got strengths and weaknesses. So at a circuit like this, braking ability is really important. Coming down the hill, that is the heaviest brake that we have in the whole country. Down the hill, it actually goes uphill right at the end there. Straight line speed is also important.
Wow, this is the Craig Baird show, isn't it? He's got through another one, and so too Antunes, who goes to the inside of Taplin. Yeah, frustrating for Marshall and Canto. They only really got one lap in here. And a lot of our AM drivers, who are the owners of these cars, essentially, only got that one lap in as well. But it's better than being in an ambulance on the way to hospital, I suppose. Baird now up to 3rd, chasing down a couple of McLarens. We go on board another McLaren. Antunes, he's got John Martin ahead of him. Martin raced in Carrera Cup last year, returning from Europe. Had a really strong LMP2 career for a couple of seasons there. Had an unbelievable drive at the 2014 Le Mans 24 Hours. And I think finished top 3 in the championship that year. Antunes follows Martin through. They go past Kandouris.
What's going to be interesting is to see how hard these guys are pushing. Berto's on a mission. He's got quite a long stop, but Nathan Antunes currently in P5. he's actually got 7 or 8 seconds up his sleeve on John Martin right in front. So if he just sticks with him, when they add the time on at the end, he's going to end up ahead. The engineers will be trying to work it all out at the moment, try to give the information to the driver over the radio, telling them how hard they need to push or how hard, how quickly they can back off, for example.
Well, let's focus on the car of Craig Baird. At the moment, his pit stop's going to be 1:20.
He's looking pretty good. That's a relatively short pit stop time.
And just to clarify, they don't actually have to have that pit stop. They're just going to add that 1:20 on at the end of the race. Compare that to the guys that he's racing right now. I mean, Quinn is 1:39. So as long as Baird finishes within 19 seconds of those guys, he's going to win.
Nathan Morgan, 1:44. So
Baird's looking exceptionally good right now. Quinn here. Aston Martin getting passed by a couple. Make that a treble. Stephen Richards comes through in the Beamer.
One of the other quicker guys out there, Barton Moore, teamed up with Greg Taylor, has only got 1:16 added to the time. So if he can get within 4 seconds of Craig Baird, if this sort of makes sense, he's going to end up ahead. So
is this rally or circuit racing? I'm not quite sure.
But it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
It's not the way that they would want to put on a race, where essentially it's going to be a matter of, hey, get the calculators out, let's see who won. But to be honest, they didn't really have a choice, because you have to add some kind of penalties depending on driver ratings and grid positions, and that's why this decision has been made. Usually it's all sorted out in pit stops, but it's going to be added at the end here.
Craig Baird's actually just set the lap record at a mid-55, incredibly fast times. Wet or dry in that thing, he loves driving it, and it's hooked up at the moment. These guys are going to have so many tyres up their sleeve because it's been wet just about the whole weekend until now. So they're going to be fresh tyres, and obviously a shorter race as well, with only 14 and a bit minutes to go. They're going to be trying to lay down qualifying lap after qualifying lap.
Three-time U champion Roel Harris goes to the inside of Ricky Capo, former KZ2 kart driver. Let's go on board here. Techno Autosport McLaren in the hands of Nathan Antunes. Carl, you know this place well.
Yeah, great corner here. Always see different lines. You saw John Martin ahead, the wider line, the McLaren of Nathan Antunes and Elliot Barber slightly narrower, really trying to capitalise on the exit. Straighten that wheel. You've got this big, long straight uphill as well, so critical. Down the hill, it's so daunting. You always feel like you can break that little bit later. Pretty, not so technical final corner, but that curb on the exit can, as we saw, really upset these cars. Turn 1, it's a lot of fun. It's actually a very technical corner. There's a couple of bumps there that really upset the front end of the car, can really affect your entry. But again, it's all about trying to get the best exit you possibly can. Up through the S's here, you see the V8 supercars using the curb there on the right. These guys cannot get away with it. Balancing the car through the left-hander. It's quite a tricky corner. That's the corner that really affects your tyre wear throughout the race. Back down the hill, and there's so much undulation at this place as well. Down the hill, around this turn 6 corner, and back up over the hill again.
It's like they found the only hill in Perth and put a racetrack on it. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
It's a bit that way, but
the flattest city in the whole country, and we've got one of the most undulating tracks.
Gives the circuit so much character. It makes it a lot more interesting. We, as drivers, we love blind corners, we love technical corners. Even if it's a challenge, it makes it more rewarding when you get it right. So you can see those bumps there into turn 1, really upsetting these cars. These guys obviously have the luxury of ABS brakes. Into a corner like that, they can just keep their foot buried into the brake, and it's just going to pull up in the shortest distance.
Down at Kolb, which is now known as Cons Corner, named after a long-serving flag marshal. There's a bit of biff going on between the older model Z4 and the older model Mercedes. The AMG Gullwing gets shoved out wide. Roel Harris used to that style of racing in the youth.
Exactly. I think that was probably Ryle's fault then. He just wasn't aware that the BMW was up the inside. He was fair and square up beside him as well. So a couple of McLarens in the lead at the moment. Berto in P3 in that AMG, just sitting back. He can afford to relax and doesn't have to take any risks at the moment.
Yeah, it really is looking good right now for Craig Baird. He's got one of the shortest penalty times out of anyone in the top. He'll probably win this race outright anyway, first to the flag. given the form that he's in.
Yeah, he can just take his time. 11 minutes to go. Looks like he's got the pace on these guys. The car looks like it's well balanced. It's doing all the right things. He's just waiting for an opportunity.
So Baird's time that'll be added on compared to the car that he's about to try and pass is 24 seconds shorter. And then compared to the leader, Clark Quinn, it's 19 seconds shorter. So he doesn't actually need to pass them. But he's got a car that can do it anyway, so why not? But here is Bart Moore, like we were talking about earlier. He also has a very short pit stop time, and he is charging to the inside of Steve McLaughlin, yesterday's race winner. It's great to see McLaughlin break through for his first win in this category. But he's got his hands full right now with Roger Largo.
Seen a few incidents down there into turn 1 over the last couple of days. It's a corner that just gets tighter and tighter. So you feel like you've got an opportunity, and then the gap closes up very quickly.
Here comes the orange Lambo behind this battle pack. The local driver, Peter Rouleau, and he might be in the shout here. And that's why Baird is so desperate to get around these guys. Peter Rouleau's penalty time will just be 52 seconds, which is minute compared to the rest of the field. So here he is, staying out of trouble at the back, coming over the hill down towards turn 7 now. So when you do the difference between he and Craig Baird, that's 28 seconds difference. So Baird needs to finish 28 seconds up the road ahead of him.
He's only 20 seconds behind at the moment,
yeah.
So effectively on track. Peter Rouleau's got the lead of this race.
This is looking good for the local man after watching his son get a cracking result in the Dunlop Series earlier in that LD Motorsport prepared Castrol car. So Baird needs to get a wriggle on here. He's running out of laps. He needs to get around these two and then try and open up even more of a lead to gap Peter Rouleau, who's 14th on the track at the moment, but has such a short penalty time of just 52 seconds, which is just about as small as it gets, that he could just about win the entire thing here.
The engineers are earning their money at the moment. They'll be doing all the calculations on every single driver up and down that grid.
It's getting smaller though, Ben. Just 7 seconds. Oh, this is seriously aggressive.
3 wide.
Oh, it's not going to work, and he has to abort the move.
Yeah, good.
That's Glenwood.
Good job getting out of it then. That wouldn't have ended well, I don't think.
Round 1 winner, Glenwood, driving with Justin McMillan in the M Motorsport Lambo. Here's the guys at the lead, at least on the racetrack. But will they be in the lead? Talking about Craig Baird in car 222, the St. Apparel car, at the end of this race. It's a battle between himself and Peter Rouleau, who's back in 14th in a timed race. He needs to open up 28 seconds. He's got 22 at the moment.
And at the moment, Peter Rouleau is probably lapping around 1 second a lap slower than Craig Baird. So with 8 minutes to go,
look at this battle.
It'll be close. If there was a safety car, Peter Rouleau's got the win.
Yeah, true, good point. Taplin, more on the defensive. Wow, the Lambo just cruises by on the outside. This is getting heated, this battle. Wood clears him and covers him. And Rouleau's behind all these guys saying, get a hurry up. I can't afford to lose any more time. So last time through, Craig Baird, 56.5. Rouleau this time through. What's the lap for the Lambo?
58.4. A little bit slower, 2 seconds that lap, but the gap's gone out to 24 seconds. So he needs to keep it within 28. Either way, he's up for a good result.
It's helping him that Baird is getting held up here behind the 2 McLarens. Baird's got a car that's fast enough to find the extra 4 seconds that he now needs. But as long as he's getting held up by Morecambe, there's a chance for Rouleau. What a different race this has turned out to be. We didn't expect this today. It's a race between the guy in 3rd and the guy in 14th. And a stopwatch in the middle.
Tough for Clark Quinn, currently leading on track, but 1 minute 39 seconds of time added. He's going to end up a long way down the grid, unfortunately.
How good is this? You can watch both races at once. As Wood looks to the inside of Taplin down at turn 7, can't make it stick. You've got a race on the left-hand side. The front 3 guys trying to drive away, and Rouleau gets pushed wide by Capo. That's going to cost him valuable seconds. That could just about be the difference. This time by will gauge the difference. Ash Samadi runs off right in front of the leaders. That's a dangerous place for Samadi to enter the racetrack again. And he just gets it over to the right-hand side. Now it's given Baird half a snip over the hill. And the new AMG GT3 has the sit down at turn 7. Morecambe won't be able to argue the point. And Baird moves into second on the racetrack. And remember, he's trying to open up 28 seconds over Peter Rouleau. At the moment, well, it's going to be about dead even this lap through. Baird may have this, I reckon. Wood, take 2 on Taplin. Lambo versus Lambo. Wow, Taplin's doing a really good job of holding off some big names.
I just had a quick look at his lap times. He's doing low 57-second lap times. Probably only about 1 second off the seasoned campaigner and Dean Canto. He's driving very well, doing a good job defending. Not quite there with Barton Moore getting through, but still holding his own against guys that have a lot more experience than him.
4 Lamborghinis in this battle pack, a few Audis, and the BMW of Stephen Richards fighting for position on the road to try and eke out some time, which they desperately need. Here comes Ben. Look at that thing under brakes. Back uphill. Carl was talking about that braking zone being so notoriously tough. We have 5 minutes to go. Can Baird open up the lead that he needs to? It's McLaren Fest at the front here. Clark Quinn. Two BMW squaring off.
Ricky Capo in the second BMW there, driving without traction control this weekend. Every car out there has traction control but him, so doing it tough. He hasn't had traction control all season, but then again, he's never had traction control in any other category he's ever driven in, so he doesn't know what he's missing out on. Beardo just so strong under brakes down into turn 7. Just seems to be lacking little bit of straight line speed compared to the McLaren. Again, I spoke about strengths and weaknesses before. The lap times are very similar between these guys, but how they achieve that lap time is very different.
So that lead now that Craig Baird has over Peter Rouleau has reached the 30-second marker, which means at the moment he's in front. He's found the 28 seconds that he needed over Peter Rouleau, but he can't afford to lose any time here with Clark Quinn. Oh, runs that shallow line in. There's a bit of sand on the inside there, right on the apex where you turn in for turn 6. 3.5 minutes on the clock. Oh no, McLaughlin, yesterday's winner, facing the wrong way, right in front of the big crowd down there at turn 1. There's carbon fibre confetti everywhere and a broken rear diffuser.
We see that a lot. Quite often in a lot of other categories, you'll see flick spins happening to kind of get back on track, but as we see a replay of what happened to Steve McLaughlin there, oh, he's been unloaded by
Richo.
It's
very un-Richo.
Yeah, it's...
takes after his old man as one of the nicest men in Australian motorsport.
Well, no doubt be looking into that post-race. What I was getting to before, with traction control in these cars, you can't just bag it up and flick the car around. You've got to physically turn the traction control off before you do the flick spin and re-enter the track. So it's a bit of a process. Obviously, most of these cars are running a paddle shift system as well. To get reversed or to find neutral, it's always a bit of a process. It's more difficult than your average car out on the street where you just engage reverse gear and away you go.
So the gap now between Baird and Rouleau, 34 seconds. So it's looking very good right now from his Barton in the Porsche. The Walkinshaw Porsche covers the inside line. Good racing, and Baird goes for the outright lead on the track.
2 wheels on the grass.
Oh, that was a brave move. And Mercedes passes McLaren. At the moment, he's leading the race. Not just on the racetrack, but on the timesheets as well. And now he should really open it up for the last 2 laps of this race. And should comfortably get the job done.
Surprised to see how much curb Craig Baird is actually using as we go on board with Nathan Antunes in the McLaren. It's been very fast this weekend. This car was so hooked up in the wet yesterday. It's giving John O'Webb a real run for his money, the team boss, so to speak.
I really rate Nathan Antunes. He had a killer season last year in the Audi. Smashed everyone in Adelaide in the opening round. Made that move over to Techno. Look at this, McLaren. Jonathan Webb's kind of been out of the news here a little bit, hasn't he? We haven't seen much of him in this race, sharing that car with Matt Kingsley this weekend. Their penalty time is 1:40, so they won't really factor in the end results, unfortunately. That's because their two driver ratings are so high. Taplin lapping Samadi. Largo should go with him and does. 50 seconds left in this race. It looks like Baird is going to take the second win in the STM Mercedes. This car was unveiled at Mount Panorama the day before the 12-hour. We can expect to see it in the 12-hour next year, so too the Porsche. Actually, Adrian Burgess said he'd be surprised if there's only the one Porsche. Hopefully some factory involvement maybe at the 12-hour next year. As Craig Baird crosses the start-finish line, we're expecting this to be the last lap. Leads on track from Clark Quinn. And then this Porsche of John Martin. But at the moment, Peter Rullo should just be doing enough to hang on to second here outright. What that means for the outright results for the round, that could be a check the website job later tonight, I think.
Could be. It's great to see all these new cars coming into the championship as well. The GT category globally just keeps gaining more and more momentum. We've seen new cars from AMG this year, from Audi, from Ferrari as well. Yep. Unfortunately, no Ferraris
Porsche
at Perth this weekend, but Porsche as well.
Over the hill for the final time. Craig Baird picked up a win down at Albert Park as part of the Grand Prix. And he and Scott Taylor are about to go to victory lane here over in the Wild West. Stopwatches at the ready, but we believe it should be a win for these guys. First home to the finish line and first home on the time cards as well, we believe, with Peter Rullo putting up a brave fight. He needed to finish 28 seconds behind him. At the moment, timing showing us that he's 39 seconds back, so I don't believe it's going to happen. We'll try and update you as to who this top three might be, but Roger Largo might be one to watch out for. I can see you tapping his name on the time cards at the moment, Carlos. You think he might be up there?
Now, there's a couple of guys that have lower time additions to put into place, so I'm just trying to work it out. Roger Largo's one who's got a lower time. Tony Quinn as well. Tony Walls with only 56 seconds. It's I think you're right. It's going to be checked later on tonight to see the actual results. But on track, Craig Baird taking the win, and almost certainly, even after post-race time additions,
should get the job done.
Should get the job done.
Wood and McMillan should be looking good as well as Nathan Antunes, we believe at the moment. We'll try and confirm that for you shortly. But that was a frantic second half of the race. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see much at the beginning due to the accident with Jeff Emery.